Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru, and if you can't already tell, I am currently visiting my family right now, so, slightly different setup, but the same old guru. And with that said, let us move on to the biggest horror blockbuster of 2019, It Chapter 2. Now, to be completely honest, I don't have a lot of time right now, so I'm gonna cut right to the chase. It Chapter 2 is a fantastic sequel to the original It, well, the original reimagining slash readaptation slash remake, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Either way, this is a fantastic sequel to it for a number of reasons, the first of which being, the casting in this movie is pitch fucking perfect. And you really get the feeling that they must have spent some time with the kids from the first movie because they developed some of the same mannerisms and delivered them perfectly. To the point where it became really obvious really quickly that I was no longer watching these big megastars from the X-Men and big comedy movies, but instead, just the adult versions of these characters that I love. And when that much of your cast can completely disappear into their roles like that, you know you have something special on your hands. And the second reason this is a great sequel is because this is a sequel that manages to actually add on to the original movie. And I don't just mean this is a sequel that continues the story from the original, because obviously it does that. I mean this is a sequel that includes scenes that happened during the events from the original movie, but we didn't actually see in the original movie, so they kind of flesh out moments that they didn't get to flesh out the first time around. And if you're a big fan of the original book, then you're really gonna like these additions, because many of these additions were scenes that were in the original book. Not all of them, mind you. There are many things, like with the original movie, that they either changed, rearranged, or condensed, but rest assured, it all works. So that was pretty cool, and the third reason this is a fantastic sequel is because, much like the original movie, in this movie, there are many new iterations of Pennywise. Many new monsters, many new forms he takes, and oh my god, many of them are fucking terrifying. Admittedly, some of them were entertaining for other reasons. At least one made me laugh out loud in the theater, but I mean that in a good way. I needed that moment of levity when it happened, because so much of this movie is so goddamn heavy. When the humor in the movie hits, it's very much appreciated. And yes, dispersed throughout this entire movie, there are moments of levity and humor, but I thought they worked despite what some of the critics of this movie are saying. I feel like people are overreacting because Bill Hader's in this movie, so they're hyper-focused on the comedy when it happens because, hey, there's a comedian, so obviously there's gonna be humor. But the original It, the one from 2017, that movie had humor and levity throughout the entire thing. It was fucking hilarious on top of being fucking terrifying, so I feel like this movie was 100% like the same tone throughout. So I don't know. I feel like people are seeing something that I didn't see or reacting to something in a different way than I did. But I figured I should bring it up anyway because apparently your results may vary on that. And the fourth reason this is a fantastic sequel is of course because Bill Skarsgård continues to own the fuck out of Pennywise. Which still fucking shocks me. I was totally a Tim Curry faithful, but now I'm 100% no. Bill Skarsgård, that's the real shit, man. Fuck the Tim Curry movie. That movie had its great moments, and Tim Curry was awesome in that role, but Bill Skarsgård, he's the definitive Pennywise in my mind. And you know if I'm saying that as an old school fan of the old school horror movies, then you know he's gotta be doing something right. But with all that being said, I do have some criticisms of this movie, and it breaks my heart to say that because I loved the fuck out of this movie, but it's not perfect. It's got a lot of flaws, and there are some things about it that hold it back from being better than the original movie, and allow me to explain what those reasons are. The first and most obvious reason is this movie is way too goddamn long. Like, it's almost 3 hours in length, which is way too long for this kind of horror movie. This is a genre that tends to work best in the 90-minute to 2-hour range, and here we are sitting with a near 3-hour movie, and after a while, the movie starts to feel it. Now that being said, I do not know what, if anything, I would cut from this movie because everything in this goddamn movie feels fucking essential, so, yeah. But even with that said, I still feel like I should mention it because if it bugged me even a little bit, then it'll probably bug you too. That does, however, lead into my second criticism of the movie, and that's this. Because this movie has so much crammed into it, stuff that they left out from the original movie, stuff from the books they wanted to add in, as well as all the stuff with the adults that they hadn't already tackled yet, this movie has so many plates spinning at once, it doesn't feel like it has as much time as the original movie had to really lay on the tension and suspense and the atmosphere really fucking thick. Now granted, that's a problem they partially inherited from the book itself, because even in the original book, the kid stuff was always way scarier than the adult stuff, because being empathetic and identifying with a kid is always way different than being empathetic and identifying with an adult. But I still feel like they could have offset that a little bit if they just had a little bit more time to breathe, if that makes sense. And my third and final criticism of this movie is there's a little CGI overload in this film. And while a lot of these effects, in particular a lot of the monsters, looked really fucking good and seamless, there were a couple that left a little to be desired. Anyway, my fellow Gorehounds, It Chapter 2 is a must-see. It is the horror event of the year, and it is 100% worth it despite any of my criticisms. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, I'll include some sort of Amazon affiliate link in the description below, and if you click that link and buy or rent the movie with that link, I will get a kickback from it. And just so you know, there is no animal death in this movie, but there is one of the most hilarious and also scariest scares in the movie that involves a cute puppy, and you'll just have to see the movie to see what I'm talking about, because that scene was one of my favorites. It kind of reminded me a lot of the Twilight Zone movie, but I feel like even by saying that, I'm saying too much, so my lips are sealed. And speaking of those sealed lips, let's unseal them, because now it's time for the spoilers. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time right now, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the spoilers, but here are a couple things that are spoiler heavy that I really fucking loved. Number one, I fucking loved all the stuff they added to this movie that wasn't in the original book. For example, the entire funhouse sequence with James McAvoy chasing that kid that's reminiscent of when he lost his brother when he was young. That whole scene was a fantastic addition and was scary as fuck. In fact, that's probably one of the most effective scenes in the movie in terms of capturing the feel of the original movie with the scares. And of course, by the original movie, I'm referring to the 2017 movie, not the miniseries, so please don't be pedantic about that. Another addition that I thought was really fucking good, and is one of the highlights of the movie, and in fact, one of my favorite arcs in the entire film, and that's the entire arc with Richie and his dirty little secrets. Because structurally with this movie, every single character has something they're keeping from the rest of the group. For example, Jessica Chastain is keeping from the rest of the group the fact that she has an abusive husband, much like her abusive dad from when she was younger. But with Richie, they've actually added a secret that wasn't in the original book, and that's the fact that Richie in this movie is in the closet. For a number of really good reasons. When he was a little kid, he was being called fag and beat up all the time for just being a nerd, so of course he would keep that shit locked away tight. But wait, there's actually a second part to this secret, and that's this: he's not just gay, he's also secretly in love with his friend Eddie, who, if you don't already know, is the hypochondriac of the group and is very much straight, so this is a forbidden love that can never happen. But it adds so much to Richie's character and gives him so much pathos and makes him one of the most memorable characters in the entire movie and gives him the most bittersweet ending. To the point where Bill Hader, at least for me, totally stole the show in this film. And I say that as someone who went into this movie a little worried about him, because out of everyone else in the cast, if anyone was going to have trouble blending in to their role, it was going to be Bill Hader, because he was so iconically a comedian. But no, he did it perfectly and was just as good as Jessica Chastain or James McAvoy or anyone else. And one of the other things I really liked about this change is that at the beginning of the movie, there is a cold open in which two gay guys are assaulted and then one of them is killed by Pennywise. And what I really liked about this is that because Richie is now gay, it's not a story that opens with two gay guys dying and then follows a whole bunch of straight people. It's now a story that opens with two gay guys dying and then follows a character among a bunch of straight people who is in the closet for reasons that happen at the beginning of the movie and kind of establish why he might want to be in the closet while he's in Derry. So this is a case 100% where they actually improved upon the book, so good on them. And the third spoiler thing I'm going to talk about is the thing that I was wondering going into this movie as a fan of the original miniseries, and that's this. Is there a goddamn spider in that third act?
And 3, he's got to fight a giant spider in the third act.
And it turns out, yes there is, and yes, it's a vast improvement over that first spider from the miniseries. Holy shit, this spider is fucking terrifying, and I fucking loved it. It was metal as all fuck. Anyway, my fellow gorehounds, as per usual, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And I'll link to my Patreon in the description below, and if you click that link and decide to go the Patreon route, remember that even $1 a month helps me keep a roof over my head and helps me keep my show going, so it can go a long way. And with all that said, my fellow gorehounds, I gotta go, so peace out, and I'll catch y'all later.